Oh, okay. And we'll start it up here. Muy buenos días, buenos días. Es el 5 de julio. Entonces, espero que ustedes hayan pasado bien el Día de Independencia. Hope you guys had a good Independence Day, whatever it is that you did. I'm just celebrating we had no more fires. Yay. Okay. Wow, no hubo incendio. There was no fire. A celebrar. Ok, ¿qué vamos a hacer hoy? Vamos a practicar con muchísimas cosas. Vamos a hablar de eventos. We'll be talking about events. I want to just pull up a couple things first to see if anybody had any questions on these before we move on to the main event, which is telling an amusing or interesting story in the past, whatever it might be. So we want to clean up two things. Which one was the similar words, palabras similares, and to see if you had any questions on that little activity. And then to take a look at our listening activity with the fill in the blanks. So we're going to spend probably about a good 20 minutes on those two, or shorter if you don't have questions. Depende, todo depende, ¿no? All depends on whether or not you guys have questions. Aquí, esto de palabras similares, this thing about similar words, ojeras, orejas, casada, cansada, con N, with an N, esposa y esposas, plural, ¿sí? Caballo, cabello. This is one of the words that really does get confused a lot. Mayor, mejor. This is another one that gets confused a lot with English speakers. Cucaracha, cucharada y cucaracha. Sí, cajones, cojines. Hola y hola. These two sound exactly alike. They're just spelled differently. Yeah. Pero carbón, cartón, invierno, infierno. Una palabra tiene F, but wow, those are like polar opposite in terms of temperature. Yeah. Pecado, pescado. Conejo, consejo. And you can see, a lot of these things happen because the spellings are close, but they're off by a bit. Arena, harina. See? Casa y casa, and again, they sound exactly alike. In Castilian Spanish, not. In Castilian Spanish, well, in Spanish, it's caza with a TH, and the other one is casa. But in all of Latin America, the C-A-Z-A is still casa,
There's no Z sound at all.
Right. There is no, in Latin American Spanish, there is no separate sound for the letter Z. A Z will sound exactly like ese. They'll still make the S sound, right? It's only in the Spanish in Spain where a Z gets a TH. And so, okay. A ver, ¿hay alguna pregunta? Is there any kind of question on this little exercise?
Sí, número 4.
4.
I no sé suficiente. Café negro is one, horse one is hair. I mean, or is either answer correct?
I think either answer would be correct. Yeah. Sí. Su cabello, pues, bueno, creo que lo más común, the most common would probably be, no, son iguales, sí, su caballo es de color café, su cabello es de color café, es igual, de color café, brown, and what word you use for brown really depends on what region you live in. Some like marron, but usually for hair color, it's moreno for brunette or de color café. The most common thing to talk about cabello would be de color café or moreno, those two. With, well, color negro, it still could be either one. Sí, buena pregunta. Okay. Otra pregunta. Any other? I think those are son intercambiables. Those are really interchangeable. Yeah, no importa. Ahí, otra pregunta, because you had a number of things here to practice.
Número ocho.
Ocho aquí con hamburguesas with hamburger.
No, must be in the next exercise.
La segunda. Es un platillo común en las costas. El pescado. El pescado es un platillo común en las costas.
So
Fish
that's a
is a-
small plate, or is that translation? a small
Platillo
plate?
es dish. Sí, yeah, sí. Y
About
yo just makes it
siete.
smaller. Yeah.
7.
Siete. Juan es, sí, sí, this one here.
Sí.
Juan es tutor de María, él tiene 12 años y ella tiene 15 años. Uy, a ver, él es de María.
I said
Es
no
menor.
mejor.
Ok, sí, refiere a edad. Él tiene 12, él es menor. Oh, wow, ¿por qué?
I think they made a typo.
I think they made a typo there. I think because really they didn't have menor. I think what they intended to do was to say, ella tiene 2 años y él tiene 15 años. They intended to have him be the older. I think they wanted to use the older word and they just got those transposed. Yeah. Juan is mayor que ella. He's older than she is, but then you would have to invert those two.
That's what I
pieces,
thought.
Second sentences. Yeah. See, that's just cut and paste error that somebody made when they made up that exercise. Sí, bien. Otra pregunta. It's kind of good to sometimes realize that just like in English, we have words like this that are easily mistaken. Spanish will have that too. You know, and especially if it's a matter of just a vowel being different, it makes a difference. See, hay gran diferencia. That can be a big difference there. Okay.
I was thrown off quickly on number 10 because in the first one, es pescado or pecado utilizar este vino exquisito.
Oh,
para
yes, up
conci-
on the top part here.
Yes, and I first thought, well, it's about cooking, so it's probably about fish. But then when I read it carefully, it's a sin to use good
It's a-
wine when you're
Yes,
when you're
10 is
when
kind of
you're
a
cooking.
play on words, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, because you look at, vino exquisito, they must be talking about cooking. Es
Yes.
pecado, sí, número 10. Es pecado utilizar este vino exquisito para cocinar. It's a sin to use this wonderful wine just for cooking, right? Because you can't say, sí.
Right.
It's a little bit of a play on words there. It's a sin to use that. Es pecado. Pecado es sin. Yeah. Un pecado es un error de comportamiento en el sentido religioso. Yeah. And in the point of a religious aspect of an error of action, of behavior. Es un pecado. Bien. Bueno, okay. Algo más? Anything else with these? Okay.
There was a part three. And where I
¿por qué
found
no?
it, I printed it out, but there was a part 3.
And I didn't have, oh, and I don't have part 3 on my list here. I think I just intended for you to do 1 and 2, which is
¿Es
probably why.
posible ir a número 20 primero?
La primera parte, número 20. Oh, no, no hay
Sí.
número 20 aquí. 20 aquí.
Sí.
La bombardón de ballenas fue una actividad común en algunos países hasta que se prohibió internacional. Oh, la caza, the hunting. La caza de ballenas,
Gracias.
whale hunting, ¿sí? Whale
Gracias.
hunting would be expressed as la caza de ballenas, hunting of whales. Was a common activity in some countries until it was prohibited internationally. La caza de ballenas. Exacto. Buena pregunta. Ok, bien. ¿Algo más? Anything else? Yeah, there are some kind of tricky parts to that, but it's kind of good to think about it and think about what word off of that list makes sense in the fill in the blanks. It can really help.
Número 3 es para ¿cómo se dice? La historia del clases de baile.
Oh, en clases de baile.
Sí, hay una
Okay.
parte 3.
Sí, en clases de baile, sí. Vamos a ver aquí, bien. Y... Oh, aquí número 3. Is this the number 3 we were talking
Sí.
about?
Sí,
Ah,
sí.
bien,
Sí,
bien, bien,
sí.
bien, bien. Okay. El otro ejercicio, the other exercise here. Y para que sepan, I think they did this verbally, but just before I forget, here were the answers for the fill in the blanks, even though they're not underlined as such. Hace un tiempo, y tengo que engrandecer esto un poquito, so we'll take just a quick look at it. Hace un tiempo, a while ago, hace un tiempo, mi amiga Laura y yo decidimos is right, most of these were verbs, probar suerte, try our luck, probar suerte, try our luck, y sumarnos a una clase de baile. And we signed up for a dance class. Estábamos muy entusiasmadas. We were super excited, very excited de ir juntas, to go together. Aunque según Laura, although according to Laura, ella no tenía mucho talento para bailar.
No.
Although according to Laura, she really didn't have any skill, any talent for dancing. Durante una de las clases, el instructor decidió enseñarnos un paso de baile bastante complicado. During one of the classes, the instructor decided to teach us or show us, you could interpret that either way, a step, a dance step that was kind of complicated. A way to say kind of or sort of or quite is bastante. Bastante típicamente quiere decir enough. Sí,
Enough,
bastante. Pero aquí, cuando usamos bastante con descripción, when we use bastante with a description, it will change the meaning of bastante to quite or sort of or kind of. Bastante complicado, quite complicated. Bastante bien would be like saying pretty good in English, or pretty well, yeah. Okay, so bastante complicado. Laura con su falta de coordinación, Laura with her lack of coordination, intentaba seguir los movimientos, was trying to follow the movements, pero parecía más un pollo desorientado que una bailarina elegante, but she looked more like a
Chicken.
disoriented chicken, than an elegant dancer. En un momento, mientras trataba de hacer un giro would be a turn, a spin, yeah?
Question.
Sí, at one moment while she was trying to make a turn or make a spin, perdió el equilibrio, she lost her balance. Equilibrium, same thing as balance, sí. Perdió el equilibrio y se cayó de tal manera que no te puedo explicar. She fell down in such a way that I cannot even explain it, yeah? Golpeó una silla que estaba cerca e hizo muchísimo ruido. She knocked over a chair that was nearby and it made a lot of noise, or we could
Marilyn?
She made a lot of noise. Sí.
Would you go back and just review again that mientras and the two different verb tenses? I know we talked about it and she mentioned that
Sí.
at the end of the video, but just refresh me on that real quick.
Yeah, mientras, because of the nature of the word while, I don't know quite how to express while. While in Spanish, generally, and I would never put anything at 100% because you'll always find some odd situation that breaks the rule. But mientras usually implies a descriptive thing going on in the background. So when you pair up a verb in the past with the word mientras in the past, that past will usually be an imperfecto. Mientras generally pairs up with an imperfecto to talk about the past. If you're
Okay,
talking about the present, presente is just presente. But while she was trying to make a turn or a spin, and in English we would say while, you might say while she tried to do a spin, but while she was trying to do this, right? She lost her balance, but the loss of balance is a quick thing.
okay,
Lost her balance is a quick thing, and it happens, boom, in a moment, and then it's done. So that will always be perdió. But while she was doing this turn, she lost her balance. So there's the quick thing.
Okay.
Pretérito. Does that help?
thanks. Yeah, I just needed a refresher.
Yeah. Mientras, we usually combine that with an imperfecto, and therefore trataba.
Okay,
While she was trying. Yes. Yeah. And the point of this is seeing that flip-flop they do in Spanish between pretérito and imperfecto. And it is a constant thing when people tell stories in the past. And it's something we have to be on the lookout for with our ears. It's easier when you read it in the tract like this as opposed to hearing it. But know that when you hear mientras, you can anticipate you'll be hearing an imperfecto paired up with that most of the time.
Can I ask us another small question there?
Sí, sí.
Mientras trataba de hacer. Why do we need the de?
Buena pregunta. And you've got a homework thing. I am setting up for you guys soon to show you why that is so. Tratar de is the way you say try to. Tratar just needs that word de. It's one of the little verbs that needs a preposition accompanying it, a very
okay.
specific one.
Okay,
And
it's
when-
not because of
when-
the verb ending.
No, has nothing to do with the
Okay.
verb ending. It has nothing to do with trataba being an imperfecto.
Mhm.
If you want to say try to do something, to say try to, tratar, the verb tratar specifically needs that little preposition de. Kind of like ir needs a little preposition a. Why does ir have to have a when I pair up a second infinitive, but querer needs no preposition at all? There is no real reason except rooted in hundreds of years of usage. It's just what they use. So try to do, tratar de, tratar de.
So in that instance, you cannot say mientras estaba tratando.
Oh, could you
Estaba
flip in,
tratando.
estaba tratando de hacer un giro?
Sí.
Could,
That's what
You could
she,
do that.
that's what she had in the video.
yeah, that you absolutely can say that instead. Yeah.
Okay.
Estaba, right, this is a good point. Trataba de hacer really conveys essentially the same meaning as estaba tratando de hacer. Yeah, they're essentially the same idea, but using different structures to say that idea. Yeah. Así es, so it is, yeah. Okay. Buenas preguntas. You've got good questions about these. All good questions. El salón de baile se quedó en completo silencio. The dance studio was left in complete silence because of the noise and the, kerfuffle, right? Todos los ojos estaban puestos en ella. Everybody's eyes were fixed on her, were focused on her. Puestos literally were put on. All eyes were on her. All eyes were on her. Estaban puestos, yeah. Puestos comes from poner. It comes from poner. Laura, en vez de sentirse avergonzada, Laura, instead of feeling embarrassed, here's our word for embarrassed. Avergonzada. Avergonzada is a great word for embarrassed. Instead of feeling embarrassed, simplemente se levantó. She just got up, se rió de sí misma, laughed at herself, y dijo, bueno, eso es lo que pasa cuando un pato intenta bailar salsa. Well, that's what happens when a duck tries to dance salsa. Okay. And here, intentar bailar means try to dance, but trataba de hacer un giro also means tried. There are two verbs that mean try. They're interchangeable. It would kind of be like, we could say in English, you've got try to do something or attempt to do something. And attempt and try have the same meaning, but they're two different verbs that have the same meaning. So in the same way, tratar de means the same thing as intentar. Intentar has no little preposition. Tratar does need a little preposition, and it's just the way of phrasing it. Okay.
Carolyn,
Mhm.
question about en vez de.
Sí,
So
sí.
how does that translate?
En vez de, instead of. I know if you took all those words separately, and you translated them, it makes no sense. En vez de, in time of. That's just the Spanish grouping. Those three words have to be grouped together to say instead of. En vez de. And it's what they use. And those words can't be in isolation. They've all three got to be together. En vez de. En vez de means instead of. Así es. So it is. Bien. Su actitud positiva y su capacidad para reírse de sí misma hizo que todos se largaran a reír a carcajadas y se relajaran. And there you've got a couple of past subjunctives. Don't worry about that very much. Her positive attitude and her ability to laugh at herself made everybody break out in laughs. The word I want you to focus on, or the phrase I want you to focus on, because you could hear this again, is this reír a carcajadas. Reír a carcajadas. Carcajadas, and more specifically, a carcajadas, means like the same thing as belly laugh. Whenever somebody laughs, from the gut, they break out and you can't stop laughing. You laugh loudly, you laugh long, a belly laugh, a guffaw, maybe, I don't know, is reír a carcajadas. When somebody just can't stop laughing and it just bursts out. That's reír a carcajadas, right? There's not a good translation for that. And that's the only way you hear a carcajadas. It's the only way you hear that. Okay. Desde ese día, since that day, Laura se ganó el apodo cariñoso de Patito Bailarín. She got, se ganó, she won, but she took on the name. Se ganó el apodo. Apodo is a nickname. And apodos have, and this is el apodo cariñoso, an affectionate nickname of duck dancer. Yeah, patito, little duck dancer. Yeah, little dancing duck. Apodos, the thing of having un apodo, a nickname, is a thing in Latin American and Spanish-speaking culture. There are a lot of nicknames which to those of us who speak English might sound even mean, but people often, even from very tiny ages of being little kids, acquire nicknames. And for example, there's a very, very famous, it was a book that got turned into a TV series in Spain called Manolito Gafotas, and gafotas means great big glasses. It would be the Spanish equivalent to calling somebody four eyes. Now, in today's day and age, nobody would, well, somebody might call some kid four eyes being mean. A mean little kid making fun of another kid might call them four eyes for having glasses, right? And gafotas is kind of the equivalent to that. It means a great big set of like Coke bottle glasses. That's what gafotas means. But somebody might, calling somebody gafotas as their nickname, their apodo, is considered a perfectly culturally okay thing to do. It's just culturally the way it is. And, calling somebody a dancing duck, in this case, is affectionate because of the funny little story attached to it. And it would not be considered, we're making fun of you. Yeah. So that's the way that is. Esa anécdota se convirtió en una historia graciosa. And that anecdote, that little story, anecdote, turned into, se convirtió en means turned into a funny story. Graciosa means funny. Y siempre recordamos en nuestras reuniones y siempre le contamos a todo el mundo that we always remember at our meetings and that we always tell everybody. Nos enseñó que no importa cuántas veces te caigas. It taught us that it doesn't matter how many times you may fall. Oh, that's a subjunctive. It doesn't matter how many times you may fall down. Siempre puedes levantarte y encontrar la forma de disfrutar del momento con una sonrisa. You can always get up and find a way to enjoy the moment, take advantage of the moment with a smile. Bien? Okay. the point of that, and she does these exercises, Brenda does these exercises every once in a while. De vez en cuando. Ves, that B-E-Z word, ves, is used in a lot of little things, see? De vez en cuando is from time to time. Yeah, ves gets thrown into a lot of little word combinations. But Brenda's point with doing these little things is for you to get the gist of the story, but to be able to fill in the blanks if we take a word out. Can you listen for a particular string of words in a text and plug those in? So if it helps, I'll send you, I think I will, I'll send you the little answer key that she had for that so you can see the translation. Bien? Okay. And I think those little drills are good. Somebody did have a question on number 3, parte
You
tres. So
answered it.
let me
It was
go
the-
to that.
It was the belly laugh. It was the one with the,
Carcajadas?
I could not get that.
Yeah. Reír a carcajadas is ha, 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 ha. When you laugh so hard that your whole body shakes.
Yeah.
That's reír a carcajadas. Yeah. And probably the best comparison we have is belly laugh. Yeah. Bien. And yeah, I think this just, yeah, pulled out all those little things. Yeah. Yeah. Burst out laughing. Yeah.
It didn't make sense as done that way. I mean, the belly laugh makes much more sense.
Yeah, belly laugh makes a lot of sense. It's laughing so hard. See, there's no like one word that does that except for belly laugh in English. And you know, belly laugh means you're shaking so hard that your whole body is doing this. Yeah. And that's reír a carcajadas. That's what that's about. It's a cute little vocabulary word. Some vocabulary words don't have a succinct translation. You kind of have to get a feel for it. Así es. Okay. Bien.
And that word avergonzado is important for English speakers because there's a false cognitive that you want to go there, which is embarazada.
Embarazada. Sí, exacto. One of the, if you ever pull up YouTube videos about the most, you know, the kinds of mistakes that people will like give you a double look on, it's that word embarazada, which means pregnant. And a lot of people have had that experience when they travel, that they've used the word embarazada when they really didn't mean to, because you know, it's so close to our English word, but it so not means embarrassed. So avergonzada, see? And another word, you can take avergonzada, embarrassed, and some people also, instead of saying está avergonzado, or you know, something like that, they might also take that word avergonzado and use tener vergüenza. But tener vergüenza is a little more like to feel ashamed. You know, shame is a little bit different from embarrassment. You might feel shame from embarrassment, but shame might also be connected to something you did wrong, whereas embarrassment might be, well, wrong, but nobody got hurt. It's just egg on your face, and you know, as opposed to really doing something incorrect or morally wrong, you know. So
And lastima is in there as well.
Lástima.
Is that a shame?
Well, okay. Interesante. Yeah, these are bits of words. So lástima by itself is like que lástima. What a pity, what a shame.
Yeah.
But lastimarse as a verb is to hurt oneself.
Oh,
It's one of the ways of expressing that you hurt yourself. So, for example, if I crashed my mountain bike, yeah, somebody might say, te lastimaste. Did you hurt yourself? See, me lastimé En un accidente con mi bicicleta de montaña. I hurt myself. Yeah. So lastimarse is to hurt oneself, to injure oneself. Bien. Yeah. But lástima, just as a noun, is often used with que lástima. What a shame.
Yeah.
And that won't necessarily be connected to somebody getting hurt. Might be that you wrecked your car, it might be that you spilled something on your dress or shirt, you know, something like that. Que lástima can get connected to lots of
Mhm.
things that are just, oh, what a shame. Yeah. Eso es. Okay. Muy bien. Before, hopefully you've got some stories to share. The idea today was to share a mini story. And to warm you up to this, we're going to have a mini story, which is super slow. I am going to leave on the subtitles because that'll probably help, even though I think most of you will pick up most of it without subtitles, but I'm going to leave the subtitles on. And she's going to tell her little story as a warm up before your stories so that you can hear this flip flop between pretérito and imperfecto. You can hear that play out in somebody's examples. So I'm going to play this for you because it's not a super long story, just as I didn't intend for your stories to be super long. Pero aquí, bien.
Posiblemente esto es algo que todos hemos hecho.
Possibly this is something we have all done. I'm going to say I have never done this, but I do know people who have done this. And I'm sure you, even if you've never done it, you probably know somebody who has done this.
¿Quién no ha usado una ID falsa?
Who has not used a false ID? Well, I never have, but think back to teenage years. And notice here, instead of using pretérito, she uses what they call present perfect, which is haber plus a past participle. So, hemos hecho. Todos hemos hecho. We have done. Instead of we did it, we have done it. It's still talking about the past. ¿Quién no ha usado? Who has not used? And again, she uses this present perfect. This present perfect of hemos hecho or ha usado is super, super frequent in Spain. Not as prevalent in Mexican past tense, even though this lady is Mexican, but this is used but it is used even by Mexicans in the idea of who has ever done this. So to express the idea of who has ever, like have you ever done, this ha usado and hemos hecho is a common combination to talk about the past. Okay, now let her go on.
Para poder entrar a un club.
To get into a club, using a false ID to get into a club. Para poder entrar, in order to get
Hola.
in.
Bienvenido una vez más.
Welcome again.
En esta serie te voy a contar historias divertidas
We're going to tell fun
y
stories
chistosas
and funny, humorous, chistosas, humorous, graciosas and chistosas. Chistosas comes from the word chiste, which is a joke. So chistosa means it's funny, humorous. It'll give you a laugh.
de las veces en las que he sido mala persona.
The times I have been a bad person.
Vamos a empezar con la historia de cómo usé un ID que no era mío.
Como usé un ID que no era mío. A story about how I used an ID. And notice she doesn't use identidad or tarjeta de identidad, but depending on where you live, you may use different. She just grabs that English word. Usé un ID que no era mío. I used. The usé is from usar. Yo usé. I use an ID that was not
mine.
was not mine. And notice, I used pretérito, pero una ID que no era mía. An ID that was not mine. And if I just say it was not mine, it's a description, and that goes into imperfecto. I used pretérito because it was a concrete action, but it was not mine is just a description. So imperfecto, no era mío.
Para poder entrar a un club de fiesta.
To get into a party club, a nightclub. Yeah. And she's going to use these terms. Un club de fiesta. Also, club nocturno. Nocturno, nocturne, yeah, nocturno. Club nocturno is a nightclub. So it's a party place.
Fue hace muchos años.
This happened a long time ago.
Tenía 17 años.
I was 17. Description, imperfecto. Tenía 17 años. Description, imperfecto.
Y en ese momento las fiestas y los clubs nocturnos eran muy populares.
Oh, and nightclubs were very popular. That's just description. Es descripción, eran muy populares.
Todo mundo
Everybody,
quería ir a los clubs y a las fiestas
everybody wanted to go to the clubs and the parties
para poder bailar y estar
to be able to dance and be together.
con más amigos y pasar un buen rato.
Y pasar un buen rato, have a good time. Here's another way to say have a good time. Pasar un buen rato. They never use tener, buen tiempo, but pasar un buen rato, spend a good time, have a good time. It's a way of expressing that is used commonly. Okay.
Mis amigas y yo solo teníamos 17 años.
My girlfriends and I were only 17.
Y la edad para entrar a un club
And the age to get into a club
eran 18 años.
was 18.
Así que nosotras no podíamos entrar a los clubs nocturnos.
So we weren't able to get into the nightclubs. We weren't able to get into entrar.
A mí no me gustaban las fiestas. No me gustaban. Pero como buena adolescente rebelde, yo quería.
I didn't really like these parties, but as a good rebellious teenager, I wanted to get in. Yeah, quería, I wanted to. And when we talk about these emotions, there is no good beginning and end to this idea of querer in the past. Most of the time, yeah. When you want to express wanted in the past, you really need to use imperfecto. Imperfecto with querer is what you need to use to say wanted.
Quería ir a los clubs.
I wanted to go to the clubs.
Año, los alumnos más grandes de la escuela organizaban fiestas.
So every year, the older kids at school organized parties. So this happened year after year after year with the older students. So she used imperfecto. They used to organize these. It was a regular thing. So it's organizaban. It wasn't a one time and done.
Donde había mucho baile,
where there was a lot of
mucha
dancing,
música,
lots of music,
mucha diversión.
lots of fun.
Y eran muy populares.
And these were really popular.
Todo mundo estaba invitado. Pero
Everybody was invited. Oh, this is description. Yeah. About repetition, description about what they did every year. So that all falls into imperfecto.
nosotras, mis amigas y yo, nunca habíamos ido
My girlfriends and I had never gone, and she combines habíamos ido. Again, it's a past perfect. Haber in the past and ido. We had never gone. Nunca habíamos ido. We had never gone before.
¿Por qué? Porque no teníamos la edad suficiente.
Because we didn't. Oh, because we weren't.
We're
What?
18, yeah.
Old
We
enough.
weren't old enough. And
Mhm.
to express the idea of old enough, it's no teníamos la edad suficiente. We didn't have sufficient age. Yeah. So if you look up the word enough, you may not get suficiente come up as the first choice, but that's the way you say old enough, that we were not old enough. No teníamos la edad suficiente. We didn't have an age that was sufficiently high to meet the requirement. Okay,
No teníamos 18 años.
we weren't
Pero
18.
nosotras nos sentíamos muy grandes.
But we felt old enough. We felt bigger. We felt old enough, grandes. Sentíamos muy grandes. We felt old enough.
Y creíamos que merecíamos estar ahí.
And we thought that we deserved to be there. We thought we deserved, yeah. Creíamos, we believed. It's a mental process. There's no good beginning or end. So creíamos imperfecto que merecíamos, that we deserve. Merecer is to deserve.
Así que decidimos que ese año sí íbamos a asistir al club y a la fiesta.
Ah, bien. Ooh, let's take a little bit of a dive on this. Decidimos que este año, we decided that this year, this one specific year. So, pretérito, we decided. Decidir, you will hear way more in pretérito. Because when you make a decision, it happens like that. Yeah. We generally don't talk about, well, we were deciding, or we used to decide. No, it doesn't fit with imperfecto very neatly. So decidir usually goes into pretérito. We decided that we were going to do something. I do want you to notice this is an odd kind of thing, but it is a pattern that they use. Whenever you want to say, we were going to do, ir a infinitive to talk about the past will always go into imperfecto. It just does. Íbamos a manejar a Flagstaff. We were going to drive to Flagstaff. See? Iba a llamar a mi amiga. I was going to call my friend. If you want to say I was going to do something, it's going to take ir and throw it into all those iba forms. That's just a set pattern. Yeah. Decidir goes into a set pattern of pretérito, but was going to do something goes into a set pattern of imperfecto. That's the way that goes. See, bien? I'm going to set up a little drill for you to say was going to just get used to that pattern for the coming week. Okay, bien? Vale la pena. Getting in your head that decidir will go into pretérito is not so hard. But this little pattern of íbamos a asistir, that takes a little bit of practice. So I'm going to set up a little drill for you to work that over the coming week. Okay, adelante.
Así que lo primero era conseguir el ID de
So that the first thing was to get an ID.
alguien más. Entonces,
De alguien más. Yeah, somebody, we get an older kid's ID. And they're not even talking about making an ID and like pasting on a different picture. No. Just get somebody else's ID.
teníamos que conseguir IDs de personas que se parecieran mucho a nosotras.
Oh, we had to get IDs of people who looked a lot like us. Que se parecieran. People who might look like us. Parecerse is to look like somebody. So you had to find somebody who looked kind of close to you, you know, in the dark. You're showing a picture, right? Close enough, good enough
Para poder entrar al club.
to get into the club.
Tenían que ser muy parecidas
They had to be very similar in looks. Tenían que ser muy parecidas. They had to look a lot like you.
o nuestro plan no funcionaría.
Or our plan would not work. See, funcionar, to work. To turn out the way you want it to.
Yo le pedí su ID a una amiga.
So I asked for a friend's ID, and that is not a description. It's something she did. And, you know, you go up to somebody, you asked for something. That's just a simple, did it happen fast and it's over with? So pretérito. Le pedí su ID a una amiga. I asked my friend for her ID. Okay. Le is talking about una amiga. Le pedí a una amiga. I asked her for an ID. My friend.
Que se parecía mucho a mí.
Who looked a lot like me. And that is not an event. Who looked a lot like me. That's a description. So imperfecto.
Ya que todas teníamos los IDs de otras personas, nos organizamos para ir a la fiesta.
Ah, we organized each other. We got everything set up to get to the party. See, we got there.
A
Pretérito.
la fiesta a las 9 de la noche.
We got to the party at 9.
Estábamos muy nerviosas.
We were really, and we were very nervous. And now she switches into llegamos. We got there. That's an event, but we were nervous is how they felt. And no beginning or end to that you can mark neatly. So estábamos nerviosas. ¿Sí?
De entrar porque sabíamos que nos iban a pedir
Because we knew they were going to ask us for our IDs.
nuestras IDs. Llegamos a la entrada.
We got to the entrance.
Y el guardia dijo,
The guard said, event.
¿dónde están sus IDs?
Where are your
Y
IDs?
Todas sacamos el ID.
And we all took out our ID. Todas sacamos. Sí, el ID. That's an event. It's not a description. We whipped it out of the purse or the pocket or lo que sea, whatever it might be.
Aquí está.
Aquí está. Here you go.
Increíblemente funcionó.
And incredibly, it worked. Funcionó. This little plan worked.
Todas pudimos entrar.
We all managed to get in. Not that we were able to, but we all managed to get inside. And there, the pudimos being in pretérito conveys the idea of it really happened. We got in.
Entramos a la fiesta y honestamente fue muy aburrido.
Yeah, we got into the party and honestly, it was not such a great time.
Yo ya
It
me
was boring.
quería
Already, I wanted to leave. Me quería ir. Quería irme. I wanted to get out. Yeah, it turned out not to be such a great time.
Y además yo tenía mucho sueño.
And besides, I was really sleepy. And here it's again, it's a description. Tenía sueño. Tenía sueño. I was really
ya me
sleepy.
quería dormir.
I was ready to
Así
fall
que
asleep.
no pasó más de una hora.
I didn't spend more than an hour. And because we can combine that to 1 hour, a specific time, she uses pretérito. No pasó a más de una hora. More than 1 hour did not
Cuando
pass.
yo llamé a mis papás
When I called my parents and event, pretérito,
para que pasaran por mí
So for them to come pick me up, they pass by for me. They come get me. Para que pasaran por mí.
Al club. Así que las famosas fiestas resultaron no ser tan buenas y populares como pensábamos.
So the parties turned out not to be so great and popular as we were thinking. Pensábamos. Pensábamos, mental process, no real beginning in it. Oh, we used to think this was great. Yeah. So imperfecto, but resultaron that those parties turned out to be not so hot.
Pero bueno, es un buen recuerdo de adolescente.
It's a good
quieres-
teenage memory, and we'll leave it at that. So you get to tell your little stories. ¿Sí? Ahora, quiero que ustedes compartan sus historias interesantes. ¿Quién quiere empezar? And I'll send you the link for that so you can listen to that video one more time with the flow. ¿Quién quiere empezar? Who'd like to start with a story? Diana.
Me.
Diana and then Jan. ¿Sí? Bien.
Oh, okay. Hay palabras que yo no sé, pero tenía clases de tenis en el rancho de tenis. El viernes pasado tuvimos una visita inesperada, unexpected.
Ajá.
Fue un roadrunner dentro de los pistas. Court. Seguía para tratar de atrapar los saltamontes, grasshoppers. He was leaping up to get grasshoppers.
Me gusta, sí, me gusta mucho.
Gracias.
Bueno, sí, excelente. Vamos a ver muy brevemente. Hay un término, el correcaminos es roadrunner.
¿Qué es roadrunners?
Sí, correcaminos, and it always ends in an S. Yeah, runs the roads. El correcaminos, it's one of those odd, there are certain nouns, they're odd, they're not like, they're not super common, but there are some things that end with an S, even though they're singular. El correcaminos means roadrunner. Sí, eso, muy bien. Y inesperado es buena palabra, unexpected. See, that's because esperar means to wait for or hope for. And if it's something that was not, you didn't really think it was going to happen, inesperado is the right word for that. Fantástico. Bueno, me gusta. Okay. Vale.
Gracias.
Bueno, Jan, ¿quieres seguir? You want to keep going?
Okay, cuando mi hijo tenía 7 años, quería ser mago. Mi esposo y yo lo inscribimos en una clase de magia. Había 10 niños, magic. Okay.
Oh, magia, magic.
Magia.
Mago would be a magician.
Yeah, he wanted to be a magician, right? Había 10 niños en la clase. El nombre del profesor era Magic Mike. La primera semana, el maestro les mostró a los niños un truco de magia y los envió a casa para practicarlo.
Trick. Sí.
La segunda semana, notamos que nuestro hijo estaba practicando el truco. Cuando le preguntamos por qué, él dijo, es solo un truco. ¿Qué edad debo tener antes de poder aprender la verdadera magia?
La
Did you-
verdad,
did you
real
understand it?
magic.
Right. He
Ah, this
never
is just a trick.
He never practiced his trick, and he said,
Ah.
it's only a trick. How old will I have to be before I can learn
Real,
the
real magic. Ah, la realidad.
La
¿Qué es
real-
la realidad? What is reality? This is very philosophical already. Sí, bien. Bien.
Too much
Okay.
Harry Potter.
Right.
Exacto. Exactly. You may, mago does mean magician. If you ever turn on the Harry Potter, this actually, Harry Potter is a great video to watch with subtitles and or Spanish, just the Spanish audio. Mago in that sense, it usually means magician, but it also would be a male witch. So in the sense of the Harry Potter movies, when the big reveal happens in the first Harry Potter movie, and Hagrid comes up to Harry, he says, Harry, because it's always pronounced Harry, eres mago, you're a witch. That's how it's expressed. So mago is used, and Reyes Magos. Wow, Reyes Magos is always used to talk about the three kings from the Christian Bible.
so-
Reyes Magos, yeah. Because, yeah, the three kings, but they were astrologers. Why would we use magos? Because they were astrologers and astronomers, which in those days was like the same thing. Yeah, they predicted things from the stars.
Mhm.
We have a lot of good little words from there. Bien, magnífico. Bueno, me gusta mucho. ¿Qué más? Who else has a story to share?
I have one.
Mark, let's have you, and then Carlos will take you. Marcos, ven.
Okay. Hace 5 años estaba en Las Vegas con mi esposa y nuestros amigos. Fuimos a un partido de hockey y tuvimos mucha suerte de conocer a mi jugador favorito de cuando éramos niños.
Wow.
Se llamaba Rod Gilbert. Rod habló con nosotras
No sé.
durante unos minutos y tomamos una foto con él. And I found the photo on my phone. Just so we have to make this show and tell, or show and tell. And I hope that this comes across at all.
Espero que sí.
let's see.
Oh, aquí.
Oh, sí.
Bien. Sí, podemos verlo. We can see him. Muy bien.
No, I just see you, Marilyn. I can't see.
Oh,
the
try
picture.
again. Otra vez. I'll stop talking. Say something, Mark.
Hello.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
Kenneth,
Well, in the middle is Rod Gilbert, who unfortunately he died a year or two ago, but he was a hockey player in the 60s and 70s with the New York Rangers, Hall of Famer. And when I was a kid up there, my absolute favorite player. And it was just amazing. We went to a game in Las Vegas. The New York Rangers were playing there, and he happened to be there at the game. And we were just walking along in the, not the hallway, but on the
Lobby.
concourse there.
Concourse.
Concourse, and we're walking up and I say, hey, that's Rod Gilbert. And sure enough, it was. And so we stopped him and got to talk to him for a few minutes, which was just incredible.
Wow. Otra vez, y un momento inesperado. Again, an unexpected moment.
Mhm.
¿Sí? Bien. Un encuentro inesperado, an unexpected meet. Bien, un encuentro, an encounter, un encuentro inesperado. Me gusta mucho. Excelente. Bien. Y en español, no sé, no hay traducción para hockey. Es hockey. They have to remember to pronounce the H of hockey, sí, porque nos suena así la
Hockey.
letra H, and they don't put a J in there to give that, they just leave it hockey. But they have to remember to pronounce the H, because normalmente no se pronuncia la H. Eso sí me gusta. Bien, gracias. Qué buen cuento. Okay, ¿quién más? Who else has a story?
Okay. Esto realmente sucedió en mi comienzo de mi carrera en la academia. Enseñaba filosofía en una universidad. Tenía menos años en el departamento de 14 miembros.
Wow.
Un día el decano pidió verme. Cuando nos conocimos, el decano me preguntó si podría servir como el presidente del departamento. Estaba sorprendido. Esto fue tan inesperado que le pregunté por qué me preguntaba. Esto es lo que dijo. Ya sé que no puede trabajar con la mitad de los miembros de su departamento. He preguntado a los demás. Todos rechazaron el trabajo. Ellos negaban la responsabilidad de la administración.
Porque nadie quería, nobody no lo querían.
Sí. Acepté. En ese momento me pregunté por qué estaba de acuerdo y me preguntaba una y otra vez durante muchos años.
Bien, sí. Y al principio, al principio, tú estabas pensando, wow, qué honor, que
Sí,
puedo ser tan joven, sin mucha experiencia, y puedo ser el líder del departamento. ¡Wow! ¡Qué honor! Es que nadie quería hacerlo.
Fue un trabajo para nadie.
Sí, pero puedes entender, ¿no? Que cuando hay muchos miembros del departamento o del equipo que no están de acuerdo,
No.
entonces hay que coordinar y es muy difícil. Es un trabajo muy difícil y nadie querría hacerlo.
Sí. El departamento esta vez fue muy fabril.
Bien. Sí. esto sí pasa a veces, ¿no? Cuando tenemos colegas y es difícil colaborar porque hay conflictos de personalidad entre varias colegas en un departamento. Sí, es algo muy difícil, una situación muy delicada, muy delicada.
Sí, sí, sí.
Eso sí me gusta. Bien, buen
Some
cuento.
philosophers, pero querían discutir todas las cosas.
Sí, sí, querían que es algo normal en un grupo de filósofos, ¿no?
Sí, sí.
Bien. Ok. Eso sí me gusta. Bueno, ¿alguien más tiene un cuento? Anybody else got a little story for us? Sí, Diana, Diana.
Yeah. Cuando era niña, caminaba a la escuela todos los días. Estaba una tienda de dulces cerca de mi escuela. Cuando recibía notas muy buenas, mi padre me dio dinero para comprar dulces en la tienda. Cada vez elegí el tipo de dulces que tuvo más pedosas.
Oh, pegoso, sticky.
No, then wrong word.
No.
Pieces, pedosas,
Oh, pegoso,
a piece,
una pieza,
piece.
un trozo. There are different words to say piece. Pieza or trozo, T-R-O-Z-O, trozo.
Trozo.
Sí. Pegoso es como sticky, como, como el chicle. You know, gum is sticky. El chicle es pegoso.
Oh, but trozo is a piece.
Trozo.
Quiero el tipo que tenía más trozos.
Ok.
Como M&M's.
Sí, para evaluar la cantidad de dulce.
Sí. A penny candy store. Penny.
Sí. Recuerdo, sí. Había una tienda de penny candy, sí, que es un término en inglés. Había una tienda de penny candy muy cerca a mi escuela primaria. Y todo el mundo, todos los chicos iban, después de la escuela, iban a esta tienda para comprar dulces de un centavo.
Sí.
Pero había un dulce de 2 centavos especial, porque era de chocolate, un chocolate especial de 2 centavos. Pero sí, y era una tienda muy, muy, muy popular entre los alumnos, los chicos del barrio. Bien, bueno, me gusta. ¿Quién más? Who else has another little story? ¿Hay otra historia? Bueno, Pat, sí, bien.
Mi esposo ganó el sorteo para cazar un muflón.
Ganó, one.
Sí.
Pasábamos mucho tiempo buscando los muflones antes de la caza. Durante un viaje caminábamos junto a un cañón cuando mi esposo se despertó repentinamente y un puma estaba enfrente de él. El puma saltaron y corrió. Nosotros volvimos al camión y tomamos unas cervezas.
Eso sí, bueno, sí.
Es muy
Y
interesante.
Repentinamente, sí, de repente, yeah. Sometimes a shorter word than repentinamente. De repente. De repente just means all of a sudden. See? But repentinamente is buena palabra. It's a really good word, but it's a long word to pronounce, yeah? So sometimes it's easier for us to say de repente, because it's just shorter to get out.
I missed some vocabulary on that. Your husband won something, but then he couldn't find it, or you did something together and he admitted, he hated to admit he couldn't find it. What was going on there?
My husband won a draw. It's a tag in Arizona, and this particular hunt is very competitive. Literally thousands of people try to get a tag to hunt a bighorn sheep. So we spent a lot of time walking around looking for the sheep. We were walking along a canyon, and it was windy and you couldn't really hear anything. And all of a sudden, this mountain lion jumps up.
Oh,
And, I mean, within 4 or 5 feet from my husband. And I heard him, I was looking the other way and I heard this, I'm like, wow. And then the lion took off one way, the tail came up. We decided to go back to the truck and have some beer and relax.
I got the beer part. Oh, good.
Yeah, I got the beer part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
See, sorteo is any kind of a lottery, a draw.
Oh,
Sorteo is often used to talk about there's an annual, we would call it a lotto here in the United States, or a lottery. There's an annual sorteo that happens like a couple of days after Christmas, or is it a couple of days before Christmas in Spain? And it's super famous, and they advertise for weeks and weeks for people to buy tickets for this thing. But anything sorteo is a drawing where you win something out of a draw. Sí.
thanks.
Un sorteo. Bien. Por ejemplo,
I have one too.
ahora hay sorteos. Y voy a mostrarles. I'm going to show you, because this is actually kind of a helpful word to know. You do come across it from time to time. De vez en cuando. From time to time. Un sorteo, y se escribe así, un sorteo, is a drawing, a lottery. So they're picking a number out of a hat, essentially, right? Un sorteo. And that is usually used for games of chance for winning, money, but it could be for any kind of a prize, see? Bien, un sorteo. Es buena palabra. It's a good word to actually know, because it is used from time to time. Okay, bien. ¿Alguien más? Anybody else? Got a fun story.
I have that mine. Cuando era niña, mi pueblo tenía una día especial cada verano. Llevábamos sidewalk sales.
Se llamaba.
We called it, or
No, no, it was called. We can't say we called it. Well,
I didn't know how to say
llamaba.
that.
It was called.
Okay, se llamaba sidewalk sales.
Bien.
El mercado tuvo las bolsas pequeñas para los niños o las niñas. No lo vi nada al dentro la bolsa. So, qué sorpresa. Mi bolsa tiene. Now I looked up the words for this, but I'm going to describe it instead. Una botella de color para los dedos.
Oh,
Fingernail polish, which
sí,
they
sí,
said
sí,
was
sí, sí.
pendientes, maybe. Was fingernail polish?
Oh,
Pendientes.
okay. Necesito. Una botella de pinta de uñas.
Yes, sí. Roja. I had earrings, feo. pero me encantaron mucho.
Ah, okay.
Really ugly earrings, which I looked up was esmalte de uñas.
Sí, a ver, okay. Voy a mostrarles. I'm going to show you this word. See, which word you use out of this list kind of depends on where you are. Y fíjense, notice something here. Fíjense bien, look at this well. En UK, see, depende del tipo de inglés. It depends on what kind of English you're
Oh,
using,
yeah.
right? The Brits are more likely to say nail varnish. Seriously,
Yeah.
who in the United States ever says nail varnish? Exactly nobody. You would skip a beat in English thinking nail varnish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Varnish. I think of my dad painting a side table at home. Yeah. That's not the same thing. But okay. So esmalte is one of the terms. That's more like the varnish idea, esmalte. Pinta uñas, paint your nails.
Oh, that's it.
Es
That's,
otra.
yeah.
Esmalte de uñas, pinta de uñas. Pinta de uñas is something you would hear a lot in Latin America. Yeah. Or they might combine it all, smash it into one word. So the pinta uñas is a smashed form. Just squish it all together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, got ya.
But pintura de uñas is literally paint for your nails.
Okay.
But in Spain, you might hear esmalte more. It's more of like a Brit take on that varnish thing.
Mm.
But I've always heard pintura de uñas. That's something that I hear more. Well, acetona, that's for taking it off. See? Bien? Okay. Sí, pintura, paint, literally paint, de uñas.
De uñas. Okay.
Y el verbo es pintarme o pintarse, ¿sí? Pintarse las uñas is to paint your nails. Pintarse, because you're painting yourself. Es lógico, ¿no? Reflexivo, ¿sí? Pintarse las uñas. Bien. Okay. And generally, when you talk about somebody having that, that's usually going to be tenía. La bolsa tenía,
Sí.
the bag had, yeah. And it'll be tenía, had. Not more than tuvo. More than tuvo. Yeah?
Do. Sí.
Okay. But whenever we want to say something was called, even if we called it, generally that's going to be expressed as se llamaba. It was called. Yeah.
That's why this is a good exercise. Had
And
to
I
think
know,
about that.
yeah, that's why. Yeah, because I know we might say we called it, but generally the way that will be expressed will be not to literally translate it as we called it, but to say se llamaba, it was called. Bien. And
have one.
llamarse will always have to be for to say it was called. That'll always have to be an imperfecto. Yeah, and it was called. Okay, Lori, sí.
Okay. Cuando estaba en octavo grado, tuve que presentar una descripción de un libro en voz alta en frente de la clase. No estuve lista, porque mi apellido empezaba con la letra B corta. Me pensaba que estaba hablando último. No, fue primero. Al fin de la presentación, cuando la maestra, and this I wasn't sure of, dio 3 manos, yo dije, y los 3 minutos está a terminar. Todos de los estudiantes y también la maestra se reíran mucho.
Bien, okay, sí, con el nombre con B, ¿sí? Sí, al
Sí.
fin. Yo, así cuando era niña era igual, porque, sí, W, yo, siempre al fin de la línea, siempre. Solamente los chicos con nombres con Z, sí, estaban detrás de mí. Y no había muchos. There weren't many of them, ¿sí? A ver. Ok. Bueno, ¿qué? ¿Alguien más? Anybody else? Trish. Bien.
Cuando estaba en mis 20 años, pensé que había cerré mis llaves de mi carro. Llamé a la policía y abrieron el carro. Le di las gracias al policía y se fue. Después de que se fueron, puse mi mano en mi bolsillo y encontré mis llaves. Estaba muy avergonzada.
Ah, en el bolsillo.
Sí.
Ah, todo el tiempo estaban en el bolsillo. Ay. Qué vergüenza, qué vergüenza, qué vergüenza. What shame. Qué vergüenza. Wow, sí, eso me gusta. Oh, I like that, sí. Eso me gusta mucho. Ok. A ver. Bueno. Estoy buscando, un momentito, algo aquí. Bien. We're going to do a few things that talk about, just some differences in words, different words that might be used in a similar way. And we're going to focus on some of these verbs like tratar de and intentar and dejar, and different verbs that are used in different ways, kind of like we have that structure of trataba de, tried to do something, and why is it tratar de? And sadly, it just is. So I'm looking up some little videos that talk about these verbs where, you might not expect, which would be the correct verb. A verb might have more than one definition, those kind of things. Or verbs that might be used in the same situation interchangeably. We're going to have a few things with that. So we'll have some homework using that. And I'm going to give you a quick intro. A quick intro to what I mean by these kinds of verbs. Oh, and I need to switch my screens, perdón. Tengo que cambiar la posición de mi pantalla. Un momentito para mostrarles. This is a mini sample of the kinds of verbs we'll take a look at.
Oye, Cody, eso se ve muy rico. ¿Qué
That looks really good. What is it?
es?
Un batido. ¿Quieres tratar?
You want to try it? She's going to stop him. You want to try it? You say to somebody, hey, you want to try this?
¿Qué dijiste?
¿Quieres tratar?
Ojo, probar
Ojo, watch out. Probar.
lo utilizamos cuando hablamos de comida, ropa o para ver si algo funciona.
So probar is used for when we talk about tasting something or trying something on. So this is just a quick sample of the kinds of things we're going to take a look at. Some words that do what you don't expect. Yeah. A lot of times in English, we'll just say, try this, like, oh, try this. Yeah. And you hand out something to eat or drink. So we're going to take a look at some of these kinds of verbs that do these kinds of things that you don't expect. Yeah, we'll have a little bit of that. Y eso, and words that wind up being a little bit confusing to us because of some of the clashes that we have with Spanish and English. So you'll have more listening than reading this week. I think I do have one little comparison. Yeah, one comparison video though, that will not be tied to any specific grammar item. It'll just be a listening comprehension. So one will be more, structural, one will be more just telling some stories, some information, and we'll have a speaking topic to talk about. It'll be a comparison of cities. So that'll be what we're going to work on for the coming weeks. Sí, está bien. Good. Yeah. Sí.
Sí.
Bien.
Sí.
Okay.
All right.
Fantástico. Y espero que puedan mantenerse con buenas temperaturas. I hope you can keep yourself in a good temperatures here. We're really into the heat this summer, right? Sí. Ahora ya llegó el verano. Summer really came this last week. With a vengeance. So, okay. Todo bien. Nos vemos la semana que viene. See all you guys coming